Hey, welcome back to the shop. I want to give a little bit of background information on this lathe. This lathe is a Cresson, Hubbard, and Smith. From the research that I've been able to do on this, Cresson, Hubbard, and Smith was established sometime around 1866. In 1865, the company was just Cresson and Hubbard, and Smith joined them in 1866. In 1867, Hubbard left the group and it became Cresson and Smith. So there's the only tag on this. It says Cresson, Hubbard, and Smith, maker, Pennsylvania. There's no other labeling, no other identification on it, no other tags, no serial number, no part number, no nothing. So from the backgrounds that I've been able to do on it, it's got to be somewhere around 1866. If they had back orders and they still had to tag it under that same name, it could have been at a little bit later date. But it's somewhere in that time frame. I did not film me taking this thing apart, so I will show you pictures now of what it looked like when I first brought it into the shop. The whole thing from one end to the other is 8 feet. The stand on it is 30 inches wide. This big 4-jaw chuck that's in the floor is 14 inches. This one is about 8.5. Now it's actually moving. It took me about 12 hours to completely disassemble this thing. I don't know if I'm going to do a 100% restore on it, but I'm going to put it back together functional and clean it completely up and probably put a little bit of paint on it. So I've had a lot of people tell me that I should do a video series on this. I don't know if it'll be a series or just a quick, one video, or how I'm going to do it. This lathe was in a screw factory and was taken out of service in 1932. The last time that anybody remembers this lathe being used was somewhere around 1975, 1972, somewhere in that neighborhood. So it's been sitting all these years. It was so covered with oil that it pretty much protected it. So after taking it apart, I only found a few small things that were wrong with it. There was a couple chips in a few of the gears where, crap's gotten in it over the years, but, we're talking about something that's potentially 151 years old, so, it's in pretty good condition for that. I acquired it through an estate, and it was some very dear friends of mine, so I'm going to try to make the family proud and put this thing back to good use. So stay tuned. Okay, this view doesn't really do this justice, but it was the best I could do. If I pick that camera up, try to move it around, and everybody's gonna get all drunk and wonky. I've done a rough count on the parts here. There's roughly about 220 parts here. That's counting bolts, shims, everything. I will show you the base here in just a minute. I did not take pictures of this thing as I tore it apart or before I tore it apart, other than the pictures you just saw a little bit ago. I have very high mechanical aptitude, so I don't think it'll really be a problem. To me, this is just like a giant jigsaw puzzle. I love the challenge. But I'm going to get started on cleaning this stuff up and get this thing put back together. I'll do my best to show the process, but in reality, I need to get this back together. I need to get back on tracks of inspiration, and I need this machine to make some of the parts that I need. So this is not going to be a full-blown restore, but I am going to clean, like I said earlier, I'm going to clean it up, shoot some paint on it. I may decide to tear it down some other day and do a 100% restore on it, and I may get halfway through it and decide, I'm going full-blown with it. It will be cleaned up, it will be painted, it will be put back together functioning. Anything that's broke will be fixed. So yeah, let's see what happens. Okay, I said I would show you a shot of what this base is. It's right at 8 feet long. So the headstock has I believe I measured that to be 1 5/8 inches. I will measure it again later and let you know for sure what it is, but I believe it's 1 5/8 inches pass through, so you can put infinite stock through here. I do have a center carrier that goes on it, and from the best I can tell, that center carrier was actually used as just an end carrier when they were doing real long Acme threads and stuff like that. So it could definitely be used to just do an infinite piece of Acme thread or whatever you wanted to do. Okay, it's taken 10.5 hours to wire brush this with that large die grinder. I ended up using 3 different brushes. I used a small round nose brush and a 4-inch brush, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 4-inch brushes. What I found was bigger isn't always better. The 4-inch brush was taking it off, but I had to work harder to get it off and had to go back and forth over it several times. I could use the 3-inch brushes and it would cut straight to it. It was just a little bit slower. So, you know, that's a give and take. I'd rather it cut a little slower and go all the way down than have to keep going back and forth and back and forth. After 10.5 hours, my back's killing me, neck's sore. I'm really ready to call it a day, but I want to see it. So I've wiped the whole thing down with lacquer thinner, then went back over it with a tack cloth. I went ahead and taped the inside of the top rail. The inside casting on this was a little rough, and when I say it's a little rough, the casting itself was rough. I spent more time trying to do the inside of this down to the metal than I did the entire outside and the legs. So I've got this protected on the inside because I'm not going to paint over these right here up and over. No sense in it. Once everything gets on there, it's just going to drag the paint off anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and paint the inside of that black, and I'm going to go ahead and paint my legs black. I've put paper over these runners. These wood runners that's on here, they have the holes drilled in them and the pegs in them from the old creosote. These were put on here by the family member's dad, which is the one that purchased the lathe, and we're not even sure what year he put those on here, but they've been on here for a long time. Kind of drives me a little bit nuts because they're, you know, one sticking out farther on one end and the other one, he didn't put them on there straight, but they're put on there with the square-headed lags. So I'm going to kind of try to protect that as much as I can from the paint. And I'm going to go ahead and sand them down, see what they look like. If it turns out to look halfway decent, I'm going to go ahead and sand them and then put lacquer on them, just for the nostalgia of it. So let's go ahead and shoot some paint on this thing and see what it looks like. Okay, I've shot the legs black. and I've shot the interior of that black. See if I can move this camera without killing everybody. Help we had a little bit of light, huh? So now we'll let that dry, tape it off, and we'll spray that body blue. Alright, legs are all taped off. That center's taped off. Now let's put some blue on. Alright, got 3 coats of blue on there. I'm going to let that sit for a couple more minutes. And I'll get another pretty decent coat on it. And we'll let that tack up for a little bit. And then we'll go ahead and pull all that paper and tape. Alright, there it is. Got 5 coats on the blue, 3 coats on the black. Sorry for the reflection and shadows. Lighting's poor. 1 o'clock in the morning, it's a little wonky. Let's move this in so you can get a better look at what I did here. The inside's black. I protected these 2 rails on each side. They're cleaned down. That's what everything rides on anyway. So yeah, there it is. Now we get to start putting the rest of it together. A lot of cleaning and a few pieces that have to be fixed. Move this camera up where you can see me here. Alright, look at how nasty I am. Been a really, really long day. Let's see. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 hours from start to finish. Came out this morning. This was still a mess. Got started on it. It's painted, it's done. So we'll let this dry. I'll get started on this other stuff. I work really weird shift. Well, it's not even a shift. I took a side job, so to speak, punched somebody else's clock for a while trying to help them out, but I'm working Fridays, Saturdays, and Mondays. So I'm only here Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. But doing that job, I hit the ground running at 3 o'clock in the morning. I usually don't get to lay down till about 11, between 11 and 12, so I'm only getting 2-3 hours sleep a night. So usually when Sunday rolls around, I play lazy. So I don't know how quick these videos will come. I was just going to kind of like throw this all together as one thing, but I think I will do a series on it. So I will try to get something out next week. Thanks for watching. Oh yeah, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Do me a favor, share this thing around. It helps me out. Thank you.